I'm Carolee Garrison, singer-songwriter, self-care coach for burnt-out moms, and your host of the Seeking Sunshine podcast, where we find the positive in the trials of life.
There are times when life just brings you down, 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 down to the ground. And it's hard when you can't see the light, 'cause things don't look so bright. So now it's time to reframe and retrain your brain. It's time to look for the good. You know that you should. Why don't you join me? 'Cause I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, oh, oh. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine.
I'm so excited to share this new version of my single Seeking Sunshine with you in my upcoming album. I don't have a release date yet, but stay tuned, it's coming up. Are you looking for ways to support my podcast? If so, then please like it, subscribe it, and leave it a review. Did you know that if you leave a review, it helps my podcast get shown to more people? I would so appreciate it if you could leave some words in the review box and let people know. Share this with your friends and family and tell them about the episodes that you really like and some of the takeaways that you've personally received and that have helped you out. Do you have an amazing story to share? It's my belief that we all do, that we've all been through really, really tough things, and that when we share our stories, it's beneficial for us, but it's also beneficial for everyone who gets to hear it. We all have stories of overcoming that we can teach what we've learned to other people and inspire and uplift those around us. So if you feel called to share your story, please reach out to me. You can email me at seekingsunshinepodcast@gmail.com. Hey guys, real quick, I wanted to remind you that the doors are officially open for my Shine Self-Care Coaching Program. This is a program that will take you from burnout, from being overwhelmed all the time and stressed with your life just feeling completely out of control, to a place of peace and freedom and joy. Did you know that it's possible for you to change your mindset and feel happy no matter what is going on in your life? I have had so much practice in overcoming and persevering through really, really tough times, and I know that it's true, that you can find joy no matter what is going on in your life. I would love to take you by the hand and guide you through this process, and I want you to know that unless you do something to change your habits and your mind, nothing's gonna change. It's up to you. You have to be the one to decide that enough is enough and that it's time to make a difference in your life. You can live the life that you've always dreamed of. Are you ready for it? Reach out to me. You can find me at seekingsunshinepodcast@gmail.com, or you can find more information on my website, caroleegarrison.com. Just schedule a little 15-minute clarity call with me and we can talk together and determine if this is the right path for you. I'm excited to see you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I am so happy that you're here. I'm so happy to be here, even though today's episode is a little bit tricky for me to get out. Not because I don't have an absolutely incredible guest, but because, like many of you, I have kids and it is spring break. And so finding a few minutes to record this in something similar to silence. It's not really true silence. I'm not sure if you can hear my kiddos stomping around upstairs or the dogs or my one kiddo asking me if he can have a bath. And it's just, chaos, because that's kind of what spring break means at my house, is chaos. So if you have littles and you are struggling with that, I'm here right with you. It's just life. So I'm so happy that you're here. I hope that you are enjoying some semblance of spring. I'm here in Utah and we have this lovely, winter storm warning, so much snow. It's lovely. At least we're not going to have a drought this summer, right? I was hoping to do some really special episode today. This was just me talking about seeking sunshine and how much I love it because this coming Sunday, April 9th, is my birthday, and it actually marks a year since I released my first single, Seeking Sunshine. But I got strep over the weekend, and that kind of cut a lot of my plans shy. So instead, you are going to get this remarkable interview. Guys, this is such a good interview. So no worries there. I'm so grateful that John was able to come on my show. His words are just incredible. No worries at all. But what I wanted to say, and I'll just try to say it really briefly, is this whole idea of seeking sunshine was clearly inspired a year and a half ago when I started this podcast and when I started writing the single that goes with it at the beginning. And I love this idea. It has become such a mantra for my life because it's not just about, gratitude is everything. Gratitude is so important. But what's more is even when you can't find something to be grateful for, even when you're having such a hard time and all you see is darkness, it's about seeking. It's about looking for the sunshine even when it's really hard to find. It's about putting that effort in to finding the good no matter what is happening in your life. So that's my little quick blurb. Seeking sunshine means so much to me. It's become a way of life. I think it's incredible, and I'm about to get interrupted. So let me tell you John's bio real quick. John Slocum is our guest today. He's amazing. I actually bought his book right after I interviewed him. It is so good, so you have to go read it. John is a complex trauma and stroke survivor who has used the power of breath and the mind to heal himself without the need for medications or supplements. He has written a book called The Science of Feeling Good, in which he discusses the evidence-based methods that he used to heal and how others can use them to feel good instantly. Guys, get his book. He charges $7 for it on Amazon. He's trying to not make money on this. He is such an incredible, remarkable human being. Listen to this episode and you will be blown away too. Without any further ado, welcome John. Hi, John. I'm so excited that you're here.
Listen, it's great to be here. I'm excited. Let's talk.
All right, let's dive in. I have heard that you have just been through so much and you've overcome some really, really incredible things.
Yes. You know what's interesting about us talking about this is, I wrote a book. I recovered from a devastating stroke. It took 10 years to recover from the stroke. The first 2 years, I really don't remember much except, being picked up for physical therapy, for speech therapy, and for the psychological and psychiatric help that comes along with recovering from a stroke. So after 4 or 5 years of not making much progress, I decided to, take matters into my own hand. And I did that because, I was on almost 30 different meds. And as I said, I just wasn't progressing. So, I was able to do a lot of research, because the stroke damages the brain and it has a lot to do with breathing and neurons and neuroscience. And, I really took a deep dive into, what was necessary to recover from this horrible accident. Mind you, the stroke was a result of a medical procedure that went awry. I wasn't sick and had a stroke, but
Oh no. Will you do me a favor and paint the picture of what your life looked like right before this happened to you?
oh yes. Right before the procedure went awry, right before I had the stroke, I was writing disaster recovery plans for the government. I added I have a cybersecurity license. Uh, I had several other things that I was doing that I considered myself successful and helping people at the same time. So I consider myself successful in the way that the world sees things. However, as noted with the stroke, you're forced to come to face with the things that really matter, right? And in this case, it was, I really never felt good about myself. I really never spent time to find out who I was or why I was here. That secondary purpose. You know the expression that the best 2 days in a person's life is the day they're born, and the next is the day they discover why. So I was in the process of finding my why. But here's the interesting thing, Kara. Uh, I'm putting all my resources, my mental resources, my time into trying to recover from the stroke, and I did. The memory came back after 7 years, and understanding, how the cells work and neuroplasticity and the things that we can do to influence the brain, things that we were told in the past that we couldn't do. So all of the neural deficits that I had, the lack of memory, I was able to overcome that. The speech problems, well, as you can see, I was able to overcome that. And today I take absolutely no meds. So I went from taking almost 30 meds to today absolutely none.
And
I'll take a.
it's miraculous. It's
And,
truly miraculous to, especially when you consider, because it's one thing when like you have a stroke and then you work really hard and over like a year you get better, but to have 4 years, 7 years of like I'm not seeing any progress, and to not just give up at
yes.
that point takes so much heart and so much courage.
Yes. Especially when you're losing things along the way. For instance, the doctors, that my neuroscientist, my neurologist told me after so many months, if I hadn't made any progress in terms of the memory, chances are I would never get that back. Or if I did recover, I would never be the same person. Well, he was right in one respect. I certainly wasn't the same person anymore. Certainly a different and better version of myself than prior to that, because at this point now I'm understanding why I'm here, and why I had to go through this awful event. I thought it was awful, or the worst thing that could happen to me at the time, but it turns out it was one of the best things that could have ever happened, because in addition to recovering, making a miraculous recovery, and as I said, I lost everything. I lost my family, because they were told that, even if he does recover, he's not going to be much. He's not going to be very productive. And unfortunately, as I said, I lost it all. But in finding myself, one of the things I discovered is, to really find out who we are, we must recover from childhood trauma. And I had so many things that were holding me back from really recovering and becoming the whole person that we're designed to be. So all of my work and writing the book, that science of feeling good, and what we can do to feel good at a moment's notice, it all took me into the world of recovering from trauma. So now I consider myself a trauma awareness advocate, because we do not come with instructions, and our parents, even when they think they're doing things that's in our best interest, many times they're not. So now, my whole focus is recovering from trauma, showing people how to recover from trauma, using my experiences of recovering fully from a devastating stroke, to now, I created some methods and techniques individuals can use right away to help them to recover from any childhood experiences that's holding the person back from being the best person that they can become, that they can be. So,
That's
you know,
awesome. And I have to say, I feel like when we talk about like methods and like ways of healing from things, they always mean so much more coming from somebody who has lived that trauma, who has
yes.
lived the devastating circumstances. Because so many times they feel like, oh, this came from science. Oh, this came from somebody who studied it but didn't actually live it. And
Mhm.
because you lived it,
Yes.
it's deeper and it's more meaningful and it's probably a lot more powerful.
Yes, yes. And you know, it's all based on love. And all of my studies, and and I'm a natural researcher. One of the traumas that I had to overcome, one of the main traumas, was the guilt and shame, that I experienced as a child, being raised separately from my family. I wasn't the son of my father, of the man that I thought was my father, and I was isolated from the rest of the family. So, in terms of a childhood or the things that we would consider normal, those things didn't exist for me. So it was mental abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse at the hands of a man who fought in a couple of wars. And then in those days, when we didn't have the PTSD designation, we called it the battle fatigue or shell shock. So this
Well,
man
and
came
one of the things they
directly off
say
the
is,
battlefield into our
ah,
home,
yep. And what they say is hurt people.
hurt other people. And unfortunately, I was the person that he took his frustrations out on and everything. And this happened over a period of years. So as a result of that, I'm totally what we call dysregulated in terms of my nervous system. And once your nervous system is dysregulated, it's imperative that you get that back in balance, because if not, whatever problems that you're faced with in life, they'll continue to resurface over and over again, until you take care of those issues, the trauma that's literally stored in your body. So, one led to another, one event, that you thought was horrible, led to another. And now I lived it. I know what it's like to overcome these things, the horrible trauma. If you understand what an ACE score is, adverse childhood experiences, we can take those tests. They're readily available online. Anything over a 3 or 4 is considered, not too good. My ACE score was 9. And I have the conditions that were associated with that, the reactive attachment disorders, as we mentioned, the adverse childhood experiences. And based on these things, the fact that we can have this conversation and I can say to you, with the power of love and the power of everything that I've studied recently in science, but more importantly, that the science, the power of love, enabled me to overcome the trauma, enabled me to overcome the devastation of this stroke. And, my health is better now than it's ever been before. And when I tell everyone I'm almost 70 years old, they can't believe it, because I'm actually looking better now than I did 20 years ago.
It's true. You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So it all comes back to the power of love, and harnessing this power, understanding this power, and every day will become like sunshine. Every day you're glowing. You're radiant. You're smiling, and those are some of the things that I teach. What can we do to let our light shine all the time? And if we have a bump, the resilience is there to bring us right back. So yes, I've lived it. I've written about it. The name of my book is The Science of Feeling Good. It's being revised right now. The second book that's coming out is called The Emotional Healing System. Our emotions are the most powerful thing that we have. How we feel is everything. And our nervous system controls how we feel, and we can definitely influence our nervous system with our breath and what I call high value emotions or high frequency emotions. So, teaching individuals how to feel good and being resilient, and showing them that everything that we need, we already have it inside of us. We don't need anything from the outside, right? So if we can, focus individuals' attention there, the absolute power of love, the ability that we have to influence the nervous system, and the breath that we have, the breath is the spirit that gets us going. I mean, it's the first thing we do when we come into this world is breathe, and it's the last thing we do before we exit. And many translations or ancient manuscripts, the breath is translated as the spirit or the spirit of Almighty God, of the Creator. So we're literally using His power, to stay alive. And if we understand that power, we can heal ourselves, which I've been successful. I've had migraine headaches my entire life. I can tell you about every therapy from beta channel blockers, calcium channel blockers, to Botox and Imitrex, self-injections. I don't suffer with that anymore. I had horrible digestive issues. I don't suffer with that. I had problems, of course, mentally, suffering the type of trauma that I did as a child, and anxiety and shame. I don't suffer from these things anymore. I am just one whole person right now, Karen, and I love letting my
Woohoo!
light shine.
That's so incredible. And where I'm coming from, listening to your story, is my husband's been disabled for about the last decade, and then just recently had this kind of really miraculous recovery. But has he severe PTSD and anxiety and depression. But he had this condition called familial episodic ataxia, and so he slowly was more and more disabled at around 30, and then he couldn't work anymore and he would collapse, and he would shake and couldn't talk, and he'd collapse and I'd have to carry him to bed, and we've got three little kids with autism, so that was always a fun
Right.
balance. But I'm familiar with Imitrex because he had really severe migraines and would go through that constantly of this isn't working, let's try a different med. I think his most was 14 or 15 meds he was on, and now he's on nothing. And
Very good.
he went from walking on a cane and hardly being, he couldn't stand up to do the dishes, he couldn't stand up to vacuum because it would be too much stress and he'd collapse.
Yes.
And now he goes jogging for fun, and it's just, after doctor after doctor after doctor was throwing just more and more drugs that were just not helping and we're just covering it all up, it was that power of love. It was an absolutely miraculous healing from
Absolutely.
God that helped him to be where he's at today, which is, better than ever. So I've seen how that power can absolutely change your entire life and just make a world of difference.
It's absolutely transformational. And we only have to submit to the power of love. And here's the beautiful part of that energy. If you don't really see the value of submitting to love, it's not available for you. So those miraculous transformations, uh, you probably won't be seeing too many of those because you're not operating at a level where it can work for you. And love is what activates it, as well as our breathing.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Which is
I
the
did.
goal of your whole work, is to bring this transformation to more people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what your husband did, the his miraculous recovery, he has a story to tell as well. And I am putting things together, and I want to make this information available to as many people as possible at no cost. Because, as I said, everything we need, it's inside of us. It starts with the breath, it starts with love, and it starts with understanding how to control our nervous system. And it's something that we can all learn to do in a very short period of time. And the techniques I've created, one is called let a pop start. Let's get popping, or pop start. And the pop simply means the power of prayer, the power of persistence, the power of practice, but more importantly, the power of placebo. So we understand what the placebo effect is. Our minds literally has the power to heal us by itself. And the placebo effect has proven that. This is the very first step. And this is what I offer to everyone, at no charge. I'll show you how to use this placebo, and something as simple as a smile, because when we smile, we're releasing serotonin and dopamine and endorphins, and it literally lifts our spirit. And if you want to amplify the effect of the smile, smile at someone else, and you literally get an immediate return. In terms of an investment, a smile is the best investment you can make, right?
I love
I mean,
that. That's an amazing line.
it's extremely powerful, right? So the first step, is get popping. Get a pop start. And the placebo is simply just believing that you're going to get better, or you simply deserve better than what you have. Just believing, it's like half of the battle right there.
Absolutely. Your life goes to the places that you think about, like to
Yes.
that positive energy. Like that's where you're gonna go if that's where you keep your mindset at.
Yes, yes, because we absolutely are energy. Now, I won't get into the quantum physics of it and the quantum mechanics because I've actually studied and researched how our thoughts and energy are related on that level, and they're absolutely are all related to vibrations, frequencies, and resonance.
We're all gonna have to get your book and read that. I'm so excited to go read your book.
Yes, yes, it's coming very soon. And as I said, it's the emotional healing system, reclaiming your identity, is the full title of the book. But after that, we get started. We get that pop start. The next level is called the lab system, and that simply means love, appreciation, and breath. Love is the key. Appreciation goes with gratitude. That keeps us in a good frame of mind. It keeps that smile on our face, and the breath, of course. And then I put the S on everything. Everything ends with a smile because we get that return, and it didn't cost anything. We just get so much back for it. It's a beautiful thing. And then the next step in the system, and this is not free. However, if you understand steps 1 and 2, that gets the pop start and using the lab system, the next step is simply blending them all together, bringing them all together. And the blend means something. The B is the breath, the L is love, the E is the emotions, the N is the nervous system, and the D is dosing. And that's releasing dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins with a simple smile, right? With our emotions. So I've created this entire system that we can implement immediately. And if we just get on this system and understand, it's like riding a bike. We're learning something new, something that we're going to enjoy, that's going to be for our benefit. We're not going to jump on and just be expert riders overnight. We may even experience a few scrapes along the way, but we keep riding, we keep trying until it becomes second nature, and it becomes in our subconscious, a part of the subconscious. We don't have to think about it. So if we practice these things, we raise our emotional baseline, because we've been practicing, feeling good, we've been practicing gratitude, we've been practicing smiling and sharing our light. We've literally decided that we're going to feel this way, and that's what we're going to program in our minds. So we literally decided to program the way we're going to feel.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And it's so true. You decide how you're gonna feel, and then if you start feeling a different way, you just bring yourself back. And bring yourself back, and then it becomes part of who you are. To constantly see, I'd like to say that the seeking sunshine is the gratitude, it is the appreciation. Like that's when we look for the beauty, when we look for the blessings, in everything. That's what lifts us.
and
So
everything.
I'd love to hear about when you were in this recovery state from your stroke. Where did you find the sunshine in those darkest moments? And was it darkest right when it first happened, or maybe 4 or 7 years down the line when it was like, is this ever going to change? Is this ever going to improve? And then how you made that shift to decide, yes, I'm making sure this is happening. I'm not staying this way forever.
Okay. Well, I'd be the first to admit it wasn't me. I was absolutely ready to give up. I was tired of fighting. Nothing was working. I mean, I considered taking my life, and I tried. I was unsuccessful a couple of times. And the third time, I decided I was going to purchase a firearm and do it that way. And when I went to purchase the gun, I was told that I had a criminal record and they wouldn't sell me the gun. Well, I don't have a criminal record. And I investigated the different law enforcement agencies that they told me I needed to check with. And at that point, I was like, gave up. So I was at the point where I was just ready to give up. When I looked up, it's like I was seeing the belly of an earthworm. I was so low that I was literally buried underneath the weight of everything that was going on in my life. But what I didn't know is the Almighty created me as a seed, and I needed that dirt on top of me so I can grow. And I look at it like the butterfly, when it's going through those stages, right before it looks like everything is going to be destroyed, then you go through this metamorphosis. And in my case, I literally had to submit to the power of love. So my ego had to die, and I was reborn in the eyes and the power of love. And it's a big difference between, I was born and raised as a Catholic and different religions along the way. So this is a spiritual experience.
Isn't it all? Isn't
Yes,
everything? It's all a spirit. I'm very religious, so
yes, yes,
it's all spiritual. It's all, and to remember that will change everything.
everything. That's right. And that energy, if we realize that when I see a person breathing, I realize the power and the energy that they have within them. And I recognize the divinity in that person. And there's nothing that I would ever do to fight against Almighty God or to do anything against God, because that's what everyone represents to me. So that power of that breath, and to be able to use that in your life is just so transformational. So at the lowest point is when I was able to understand this power that I had. And it was Almighty God the entire time that was taking me by the hand, that led me through all of these experiences and just got me to the point where I really understand what the power of love is. And it's transformational, it's miraculous, it creates synchronicities in your life, serendipities. I mean, if you're into the law of attraction or the law of reciprocation, you get back what you put out. But what I found out more importantly, Kara, is through my traumas and all of my successes through life, I really never took the time to love me for being me.
Ooh, and isn't that just it right
Yes,
there? Like,
that's it.
it's just, you cannot do anything else. You can't help anyone else in the world. You can't, succeed. You can't do anything if you don't first recognize the value of you.
Yes, yes. And no one else can do it like you. And just realize that. And once you have that appropriate love, that the real love, the love that brings us together, the love that doesn't need any rules or regulations, to implement, you know, you can do this as much as you want. And it's just going to uplift everyone. That's the love, that I'm talking about. And to have that driving your life, and to be connected inside as one, and we have two hemispheres of the brain, and to have them operating as one, and in your regular day, you just feel great. And when you don't, you're able to recognize the feeling because it's strange now. And your entire thought pattern changes, when you're operating at this higher elevation, at this higher level. So it just improves not only yourself, but you're capable of doing so much more when you have this self-love. So
Oh, yeah. And what I found is that when you don't have that, it's kind of like every second of your day is wrapped up in this: I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. And there's not even thoughts of other people because it's all about you. And it's somehow more selfish to not believe you are good enough than to recognize your own worth and value and amazing power. Because as soon as you do that, you get out of your own head and you're like, I'm amazing. How do I help that person feel like they're amazing? How do I help that person improve their life? How do I do all these things for other people now that I'm out of my own ego?
own head, yeah. Well, we can do that by helping them to understand whatever they're going through. Uh, it has a lot to do with how they were raised and the environment that they came up in. There are things such as generational, genetic effects. So something that happened to your grandparent or your parent, I mean, it can certainly have an impact in your life. So it's good to know as much as you possibly can about your parents and the things that they went through. But more importantly, each of us suffer to some degree from trauma. Regardless of how. Listen, I was very successful. I was an executive in a pharmaceutical company. I had my own cleaning company that I employed several people. And I was paid very well as an executive, but I made a lot more money with the cleaning company. But inside, I was never happy. So I had all the trappings and all of the look of someone that's doing well, but very vacant, very empty inside. So, when we go back and we show people that, or teach them that, listen, your parents weren't trying to do anything to hurt you, but chances are you have some type of trauma uh, from being raised, by parents, and you never had
Who
instructions,
were
right?
imperfect by
Exactly.
parents who were imperfect, who were raised in turn by imperfect parents, who were raised by imperfect parents.
That's right. So the key is you won't hold things against them because you know that they were operating in a manner that they didn't know. So I look upon myself as, I'm breaking that generational curse. I'm stopping the cycle of trauma. I'm stopping the cycle of not feeling worthy. So all of these things come back to, what you're trying to accomplish, bringing some sunshine, bringing some light, helping others to, really focus on the good that we do, and how powerful we are. We're made in a fear-inspiring way. It's awesome. And when you think about the energy that we mentioned before, I really looked into the energy part of it. We have approximately 30 trillion cells in the human body, 37 trillion. Every one of those cells in the human body has atoms attached to it that make up that cell. But listen to this. Every of those 37 trillion cells have over 100 trillion atoms attached to it. I mean, the numbers are staggering. I mean, we don't have names for the numbers when we put all of these things together and the power that we're generating that's coming through us. But it coincides with the number of stars and galaxies and the heavens and everything else around us. So we literally have this power running through us. We have this breath of the creator running through us. And all we have to do is combine love in there And that means going back and forgiving everyone along the way, forgiving ourselves, and starting with self-love and finding that treasure inside, that power, that energy, and help us transform our lives, and it will naturally extend to others. It's a beautiful cycle, man. It really is.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I definitely did not know that about the molecular and atomic, numbers, but like it's just when you look at this creation of this earth and every single one of us and just how there's like not even words for how incredible, for how awe-inspiring this whole thing is. And when you can see that and you can see the beauty that is just literally everywhere you look, it'll change everything. It changes your
Yes.
entire life.
Yeah, it changes your outlook, and then you're not distracted by the divisions and everything else that's coming along in the world. Because if you pay close attention to that, you will, all of your energy will be going to, what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that. We have so many other issues that can distract us from doing the work that we have to do inside. You see, so when we have that, when we're focused on the things that are good, we can take the time to smell the roses, or to hear the birds sing, or if something good happens for us, we can take the time to appreciate it, and understand, that this is part of the journey. This is, the happiness lies in the small things, right? So what you're doing, it's great. Your podcast, it's such a pleasure. It's a privilege to be a part of it, and I mean, we need a million more people like you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my goal is to, the reason that I really started this is because I'm a mom and I've got three kids on the autism spectrum, and I wanted to be able to tell my story, and then I realized that, like, oh my goodness, so does everybody else. We all need to be able to tell our stories and feel heard, and then to be able to take what we've experienced and then look back on it and go, oh, hey, I learned so much from that and I grew so much. And here's the beauty. That's how we teach other people, as we take our experiences and
Yes,
we say, oh, hey, here's how I'm still here today. Here's how I got through it. And maybe that how can help somebody else get through their trials and their horrible darkness that they're experiencing, and we tend to, learn more from our lives as we look back and go, oh, I was being led that whole time. And maybe as I look at my past, I can look at what I'm currently going through and go, maybe I'm being led now too.
yes,
Maybe there's actually beauty in what I'm experiencing now that I'm struggling to see. And either I can look really hard and find something beautiful, or maybe both, or I could be like, okay, there will be beauty in this. I just don't quite see it yet.
right.
Maybe I'll pause on deciding that this is all bad, and I'll just give it a little more time, and then I'll be able to look back and go, I see where the beauty is. I see where the sunshine is. And hopefully as we practice this more, we can see it every single day in every time something is difficult, something's going wrong, and something's stressful, if we can change our mindsets from focusing on that darkness and the ugliness, that we can start looking for the sunshine and the beauty, and then all of a sudden we see it everywhere.
You see it everywhere, but you hit the nail on the head. If we practice this thing, it has to be a mindset. It has to be something that we're actively doing or practicing. So, I have a nice step-by-step outline of things that you can do. For instance, in the morning, I have my whole gratitude, and I call it my get popping, my pop start, right? So I do my breathing and my meditations and my prayer. My foot will not hit the floor until I do that for at least 2 minutes. because it takes 2 minutes to engage the vagus nerve, and that's is the main nerve that controls how we feel. And it's the nerve, the only nerve that innervates all of your major organs, major and minor organs in your body, and it goes from the base of the skull all the way down to your colon. And when you stimulate that, it's kind of like doing exercise for the immune system because it helps the immune system get stronger. And we certainly can use that today. I actually use part of my exercise, my meditation, there to exercise the heart. And there's a gland next to the heart called the thymus gland, that regulates the human growth hormone, and it regulates T cells, and it helps regulate the immune system, and it helps keep you young and youthful. So of course, I'm running energy through there and breathing through the thymus gland as well. So I have a very specific routine that I follow, and I'll be sharing that with everyone. And you only have to do it for 2 minutes, and if you practice that for uh, 30 days, it takes 30 days to create a new habit. I guarantee it will change your life if you just practice that. But if you get intentional and you practice it more and you feel the benefits from it, you can literally transform overnight. And don't be surprised if you're suffering from chronic conditions such as migraines or indigestion or fibromyalgia, or things that procrastination, things that just don't seem to have an answer. Don't be surprised to see those just melt away because a lot of it is related to stress and trauma and fear.
Cortisol.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
cortisol. Cortisol is killing us. And so that's actually like I mean, I'm sure you know this since you probably wrote all about it in your book.
Yes.
But that's the scientific, way that this whole like how does meditation help your physical health? Well, it lowers your cortisol, and cortisol is what causes inflammation, and inflammation is what causes pretty much every malady in your entire life, like in your body. All
Absolutely.
about cortisol. And so we have
Yes.
to lower that stress and really take to heart this message of love, and everything's okay. And if it's not okay yet, give it a little time and it will be.
And it will
It
be.
will be okay. And you can feel that peace now. You can choose to feel it right in this moment if
Right
you
in this.
so choose. And as we do that and we do it more, we lower our cortisol, and then that slowly or quickly will start to fix, the migraines and the indigestion and whatever you have.
Because it dysregulates it. If you can imagine cooking in the kitchen, right? And you have this one ingredient, and and you just can't stop your hand from adding it to the mixture, right? And your hand just stays there. It's good for the mix in the right portion. Like we need cortisol and adrenaline, but if it's always on, or in this case, let's use sugar. If the sugar is always on, we're just constantly adding it to the mix, adding it to the mix. At some point, it's not serving us anymore. So, the feelings of gratitude. I love the sunshine, man, because I always talk about glowing and letting your light shine. But when you have that mindset and you actually engage the vagus nerve, it literally inhibits the release of cortisol by using another chemical that's great for us, acetylcholine, and it just balances it off. We don't want to shut it off completely because we need it. But when we're under constant stress, chronic anxiety, my goodness, it's like a slow, slow, slow death.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And what I love about I guess my whole thing here is it's seeking sunshine. It's not just expecting it, or like it's a constant engaged looking for
Yes.
it. And as you put that effort in, that's it, that you see it more and it comes easier, and then the cortisol melts away when you don't need it, because unless we're being chased by a tiger.
Right,
I mean,
right.
there's moments there are
That
for
we need it. No,
sure.
but when we engage in sports, right? If we're doing any competitive action, that's cortisol. We're engaged in the sympathetic part of our nervous system, and it plays its role, right? It has a function. right? It's just like our ego. We talk about the ego. The ego is not bad. I mean, it helped us to stay alive. It kept us going while we didn't know who we are, or we're not aware of the power of love. But it's that's when it's too much of
Well,
it
and
that
it's that, so many of us suffer from anxiety. It's like if you're sitting on your couch in the safety of your home and you're worrying about some metaphorical tiger coming to get
yes,
you,
yes, that
it's not
continues
where you
that
want to be.
because it continues it keeps that cortisol on. It keeps it just drip and drip and dripping. So knowing that we can control that, it's a beautiful thing. And then
Yeah.
knowing that we can turn that switch off immediately is a beautiful thing.
And
And knowing that we don't need anything from the outside to do that, it's awesome.
you were saying it starts with awareness.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
so I guess that's the goal of maybe this conversation and all of your work and mine too, is that let's be aware so that we can learn how to be happier, so that we can learn how to be more at peace.
We practice everything else. Some of my breath work, all of my breath work requires practice. Whether we're breathing for peace, I have what's called spirited breathing, when we're literally using the fruits of the spirit, and feeling with our high value emotions, and using what I call the whole brain experience to program the feelings that we want to have. So that's in the advanced portions of what I have. But everything requires practice if we want to be good at it. An athlete will spend years and years and years, or a musician will spend years and years and years practicing. But how we feel is everything. If we feel good, we do everything else better because we engage the prefrontal cortex, which we don't have access to as much as we should when we're stressed, because you have this energy dance going on. And if we have too much going on inside, our body goes into that fight or flight mode, as you're saying. We're sitting in the safety of our home, but mentally we're engaged, like, where's that tiger coming from? Right? So, we have to have that safety. We have to feel that. We must practice that so we can maintain that feeling, and not get caught up in the divisions and everything else that's going on in the world today. Because if that's the case, we certainly won't heal, and love will certainly continue to escape us.
Absolutely. And I guess we have to all ask ourselves, do you want to spend your life running from a tiger?
Yeah.
Is that how you want to live your life? Because, like, right now, this is your life. Like, this is your actual life. How do you want to experience it? Do you want to always be afraid? Because you don't have to be.
You don't have to. And here are the tools. Here are the tools so you can practice feeling how you want. I love being playful. As I said, I missed out on my whole childhood. So I'm just a big boy right now, a big kid. I like to laugh and joke and tease. I like feeling good, confident, from inside, and feeling good because I've done things to uplift the human family. That makes me feel great. And I take the time to relish that, to bathe in that, to absorb that. And, that helped me get started in nonprofit work. I learned all about nonprofits, and I started helping guys that wanted to do nonprofits. I did it all free of charge. So I worked with almost 30 nonprofits, started 4 or 5 myself, and they're still doing great things today. And I looked at that, and I was still recovering from the stroke. When I decided that I can do something. I refuse to accept being a victim anymore. I'm not a victim. I have this energy. Let's do it. So, just, reflecting back on that, and it just gives you such a great feeling. And when you're practicing feeling good, and using the breath, oh my goodness, it just takes you to another level, and you stay there. You stay there.
Yes. And what a life you have led. You went from just utter despair and helplessness to just, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to live there. That's not how I want my life to be. And then you changed everything. And just the joy that you're bringing to the world is absolutely just inspiring and incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't wait for you to write about your experiences, and we're going to stay in touch because you have to write now.
Oh yeah, I know. I have this. Oh, I can't even begin to get into my story. I have some stories. I mean,
listen.
I
Now
have a
we have AI. We have this technology now where I mean, I'm a writer, and I you know, my background is in technology, and the software that they have now, the artificial intelligence is absolutely outstanding. It's mind-boggling, but it's time to write. And I'm encouraging you.
it's so fun. So what I'm learning right now, I'm a very, very like type A go person. And so I'm a mom to three kids on the autism spectrum. Two are high functioning. One is severely autistic and semi-verbal, and he's type 1 diabetic.
Mhm.
And I'm also a singer-songwriter. I had
Oh,
my Christmas album came back out in Thanksgiving, and I'm working on my big album, which should be out soon. And I also have my podcast, and then I'm a coach for burnt out moms to help them find themselves and motherhood. And I'm like, I'm gonna write that book, but I have to recognize that there is time, and
there's time.
I
Absolutely.
cannot do all things at once, and I have to remind myself of that every day. You know
Oh,
that they say that you can that we overestimate how much we can get done in a day, and we underestimate how much we can get done in a year.
how about that?
And and instead of letting that anxiety of it's not done yet, it's not done yet, I haven't written this book yet, I haven't done XYZ yet, like to allow ourselves to feel joy now, where we are at now.
Right. Well, I can relate to what you're saying, and in this way, uh, because I wanted things to be done just right. You know, because in my background, you know, my dad, he was very tough and abusive. So everything was dancing around him, you know, making sure he was happy and not wanting to be seen. You know, my whole thing was to stay out of sight, right? But you want things to be done in a certain way. But what I had to teach myself more than anything in terms of the self-love was self-compassion, because if things didn't get done in a way that I thought was the best way, you know, I just took an issue with it, you know. So one of the things that I literally had to teach myself was to be compassionate with myself and use my best friend as an example. If I wouldn't treat him or her like that, I certainly not going to do it to myself.
Oh yes. So remind me again, what is the name of your book that's already out?
The Science of Feeling Good. You can find that on Amazon right now. It's being revised, but and anyone that purchases it when the new book comes out, they'll actually get that for half price, or they'll get the ebook version of it free of charge.
Amazing. I'm gonna go look it up as soon as we're done here because that sounds absolutely incredible. And isn't that what we all like? That's just like the epitome of everything. Like that's what we want. We want to feel good, and we can.
And we can, and we
Yeah.
can.
So thank you so much for coming on today. Before we wrap up, do you have any like final words of wisdom to share with us?
Well, you know how we feel is everything, and our nervous system controls how we feel. So if we want to feel well, which will enable us to heal well, we have to be aware of how the nervous system impacts us, because it is the lever that controls our emotions and our feelings. And then we understand how that is connected to our brain and our heart and our digestive system. You know, as we've learned that they're all connected, you know, we have neurons, brain cells in the stomach and in the heart. So once we learn how all of those work together and using that powerful emotion of love with the heart, these are the ingredients that you need to begin your transformation. And there's no reason for any of us not to feel good, because we understand from a scientific point of view, we understand from a spiritual point of view, we understand from just the ancient sages, the wisdom, ancient wisdom, what's necessary to feel good. We only have to practice that. And if we bicycle it, get it so that it just becomes a part of us. Just think that you've taken the time to program, probably the first time in your life, how you want to feel and not receiving it from someone else. So you have that, take advantage of it. We're being bombarded and inundated. I mean, we're living in a time of upheaval and serious change. So we must stay balanced, stay regulated. We have the tools. Everything we need is inside. So try a little self-love, go inside, and you'll find all the answers that you need inside of you.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
So much. Yes, absolutely. And one thing I want to add real quick, because it was such a problem for me for so long, is that you have the ability to learn new things.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
so resistant to that for so long. And it was when I finally was like, all right, I'm going to do, because my husband's a researcher. My husband is the dig deep, learn all the things. And I've always been I'm a doer. I'm a maker. I'm a crafter. I don't want to learn how to do it. I just want to do it.
You just want to do it.
I just want to do it and get it done. I don't want to spend time learning. But actually, as I've worked on that part of myself, I've come to just love the learning part, and it has opened up so many doors for me. And so for anyone listening, like, there's a lot here. There's a lot that you can learn from this episode, and there's a lot that you can learn from John and from his book and all of his work that he's done. And don't be resistant to that. Be open to that. You can learn. You can change your life, and you can be happy. It's all
right now.
ahead. You can be happy right now. You can do it. So anyways, thank you so much for coming on. What an inspired, incredible
I appreciate it
conversation.
so much. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I hope you have such a beautiful day.
Thank you. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take care now.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, every time that I hear John speak, I'm blown away. He is so inspiring, and I absolutely loved going back through his interview and pulling out these incredible quotes, because he's so inspiring, guys. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I go through and I interview people, and I actually interviewed a bajillion people in January, and they're so good. I'm so excited to share these interviews with you guys. They're incredible. But so I interviewed John back in January, and then what I get to do is I get to go back through and listen to their episode and listen to their interview right before. Sorry, I'm going to get interrupted. Right before I go to air it, and I pull out amazing quotes, and this one is just amazing. Like, he's so incredible and so inspiring. So here are my very favorite takeaways. Number 1, to find out who we really are, we must recover from childhood trauma. Number 2, it all comes back to the power of love and harnessing this power, understanding this power, and every day will become like sunshine. Every day you're glowing, you're radiant, you're smiling. Number 3, our emotions are the most powerful thing we have. How we feel is everything. Number 4, let's get popping. A pop start. The power of prayer, the power of persistence, the power of practice, and most importantly, the power of placebo. We understand what the placebo effect is. Our mind literally has the power to heal us by itself. Number 5, a smile is the best investment you can make. Number 6, this is part of the journey. The happiness lies in the small things. Yes. Number 7, there's no reason for any of us not to feel good because we understand from a scientific point of view, we understand from a spiritual point of view, we understand from ancient wisdom what's necessary to feel good. We only have to practice it. Number 8, you can learn. You can change your life and be happy right now. You can be happy right now. Oh my goodness, I love these words. I hope that you love them as much as I do. And if they just like pierce your heart, please share them with someone. Share all the little graphics that I make and share every week because they are just so good. Now, again, it's spring break and my kids are home and it's wild. And although, I say that like I don't usually record this when they're home at night. Like I'm usually recording this with them around me anyway. But today seems to be a little bit more excessive. Maybe it's because of the excitement of the impending break and everything that's going on. So anyways, if you love this, share it with somebody, uplift them, brighten their day with these words because I freaking have loved every second of this interview. And go buy John's book. I bought it on Amazon, so it is called, I have to look it up, it's called The Science of Feeling Good. It's not very big. It is such a good read. You've got to go check it out. And again, I think he charges like $7 for it, so there's no reason to not go snag it right now. Let's support him in this because it's really a life-altering work that he's doing. And anyways, I loved his episode. I'm so thankful that I get to share it today, and I hope that you guys have such an amazing week, especially with Easter coming up. Like it's going to be a great week, guys. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good. I hope that you can see the sunshine in every single day, no matter if it's snowing or raining or cloudy. There is beauty everywhere. There is sunshine somewhere. And I'm going to leave you with a song. Have an amazing week.
I heard you want to quit again. You're feeling like a fool for thinking that this path was meant for somebody like you. You put yourself out there again. Your confidence is scarred. If this was really meant to be, why is it so damn hard? But wait, maybe it doesn't have to look the way they said it did. And wait, what if it's not too late to change your mind or change the world? Don't give up just yet. It's not too late to change your mind or change the world.